Hey everybody, welcome back. We back again.
We back. We back again.
All right. I'm Spencer, and of course we have our licensed clinical therapist, Naz.
Hello. Another one. How you doing,
Yeah.
Dr.
Have you
Nas?
ever thought that you'd see a grown man with that many plushies? I don't think anybody would estimate how many are over there, but it's fine.
As my doctor Jesus Christ, as
Your
my father
doc-
says, they both say, just because you got a doctorate, don't care stupid.
And with that, this is the Different Spectrums podcast, where we talk about movie shows and the mental health aspects that surround them. We also like to have some laughs, so don't take us too seriously.
Or do. That's up to you.
There you go. Don't forget to run up those likes for us. We'd really appreciate it. Shout out to all of our collaborators, all of them, even the ones that don't answer DMs. Shout out to Cure Hydration, Pinfinity. Hello.
Pinfinity.
A great old Pinfinity.
Fuckers.
Silver Dollar Candle. Two Nerds Candle Company, and then also Cat and Raven Company. You can get up to 20% off if you use the code DSP or DSP20, or by going to our link tree and clicking on the links. So use them while you can, because some of them may be leaving soon. One of them, at least. And also please go check out our Spotify polls. If you're on Spotify right now, go check them out and just fill them out for us. We'd really appreciate it. Helps with engagement, as well as is a fun thing to do for you.
It is. Give me just a
little
nubbin.
A little nub. Just a little nub. God damn. Yeah, can't wait. All right, so today we are checking out a couple scenes from the show Welcome to Wrexham, the documentary series all about Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney. I think that's how you say it. And how they bought a little soccer club in good old England.
Yeah.
Good old England. But today we're going to be talking about specifically season 2, episode 2, because they delve deep into autism, how parents kind of struggle with that, and then also giving love, but in a different way.
Yep.
So some great topics we're going to be focusing on today. It's Monday, September 20th, October, technically. It's October. Monday, October what, 1st?
Motherfucker, it's September 28th.
Motherfucker, you said it was going to be because you were going to, so it's on Monday. What are you talking about? This comes out on Monday.
Oh yeah, no. Still say today's date. Don't worry about saying the Monday
date. Fucking A.
Don't say the date we record, not the date.
It's the date. All right, whatever. You know what? It's Thursday, September 8th. Fuck this. Fuck everything. It's all fucking shit. This is a Monday pod, so fuck you. They're not gonna like this one.
No.
So much bad language. Might have to bleep me every other sentence. Bloop, bloop.
It's fine.
But yeah, Thursday.
Get to me.
Just take over.
Hello. Yeah, no, we're gonna have some fun today. Obviously, there's some deeper conversations that we will have. I think me and Spencer also have some funny stories that we want to get to that have happened this week. It's been an exciting week. I'm sick. I also have a scratched cornea, and Spence is diagnosing people as autistic. So,
well, it's not hard to find anymore.
Tism. Yeah, I just throw Cheeto dust at people. If it sticks, they're autistic.
Pocket sand.
But yeah, let's get into it. Let's have some fun today. Monday pod that we shot on Thursday.
So dumb. Whoop, whoop.
Woof, woof.
Hey everyone, I wanted to give a special shout out to our collaborator, Two Nerds Candle Company. Not only do they have great products, but they are also giving back to a great cause. You can tell that they take a lot of pride in making their candles. My favorite is Spock's Monday Coffee. They are also donating 10% annually to support Women in STEM, which stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics. You can use our code DSP or go to our link tree to get 20% off your entire order. We think that this company is great, and we think you will too. So go check them out.
Do you want it?
Albie!
Yeah, should we use a rock? Albie, look. Albie, ready?
No. Where you on it? Where you gonna do? Where you gonna do?
I've got a little 3.5-year-old boy. He's autistic. The first 12 months of Albie's life, he hitting all the milestones. He was walking at 9.5, 10 months, earlier than me. He was copying sounds, he was clapping his hands on demand, he was singing songs and doing actions, and everything was fine until 12 months. And then Albie started to regress. He stopped making eye contact with me and his mum and anyone, really. He didn't copy, he didn't try to make sounds anymore.
Wow, that's a big one.
Bringing him here, he's happy, he loves just running about, and it's lovely to just come out and relax and enjoy a bit of time just in nature. Like. As I say, it's as long as we can make him smile every day, then we're doing something right.
Where you
going?
Where you running to?
I'm gonna get you! I'm gonna get you! We've managed to get the diagnosis for him, and we've obviously got things in place for him going forward in school. I can't go to bed without feeling guilty, so I have to try to alleviate that guilt any way I can. And yeah, I might be too hard on myself, but
there we go.
Ultimately, football's second for me. It doesn't matter. He's the most important thing for me.
Well, what's this for?
It's for Mullen with his son Albie, because he got diagnosed with autism. And because I have it, I wanted to do something special to show that Mullen's not alone and Albie's not. It's like a superpower. It shouldn't be seen as a disability, it should be shown as a superpower.
Paul Mullen has been absolutely fantastic with Millie. When the announcement came out about his son, obviously, being diagnosed with autism, I think that was a bit of a turn for Millie as well.
He got those boots made with the autism thing on it, so now I can look up to him and talk to him a bit. I used to be quite scared talking to Mullen.
Yeah, I posted the boots because there's so many people in the world who feel guilty. They feel like it's their fault. They probably feel lost. They feel like there's no help. I thought if I could help one person to be able to deal with their child's diagnosis and help them to accept the child, because I know it's not easy.
We do the chant, we've got Mullen Super Paul Mullen, so I've done one. We've got Albie Super Albie Mullen.
To actually know someone else who has a youngster as well. And I think Millie kind of thought she could be a help.
Basically, I put this one on, then Mullen was doing that as well, and his son was doing that. So they're like the same, but now by his name. Then the A for Albie, or autism, and then I did the heart, and then them two together.
It's kind of given Millie a focus as well.
So basically, this is a goodie bag for Albie. This is like a Paw Patrol blanket, because I have autism too. I like soft things, so I thought he might like soft things. I have one of my fidget toys, what I love, so I think he will love it. So then I have one like little star poppet. This is like a little stress ball thing that I've done him a drawing of him and his dad. So hopefully he'll like it.
Billy, perhaps Paul will come round here to do it, but it's a bit more room.
How are we, Millie?
Hello, Molly.
What have you got this time? Wow. That's lovely, that.
I got Albie a gift. It's stuff what I use to stroke out me down,
You
yeah.
shouldn't have.
Yeah?
Why?
Because I don't use them.
Thank you so much. Can I have a hug?
Okay.
To say thank you. Thank you so much. I think Albie will be so happy with this. Good songs. Good jump. What? Where's your football gone, lad? Where's your football gone? Should we find it? What do you want? Your shoulders. Since I moved back home and managed to spend a lot of time with Albie, I noticed unbelievable progression in him. He follows instructions now. If I ask him to get things, or I could go ask him, does he want to go in the garden? Stand up. Yeah, all right then. Go on then. Can you touch the sky? Yeah. Oh! He's a happy lad. Enjoys every single day. He makes me smile. He doesn't talk. He's non-verbal, but he might as well talk because I know exactly everything he needs and when he needs it. And you know, he's a joy. I wouldn't change him for the world, but sometimes it's just difficult when he's not well and he can't tell you why, or something's annoying him and you can't help him. Stand on Daddy's feet. Sometimes you just turn around and he'll say, Dada. And that's something that I just love to hear it. It makes me cry every time, to be honest with you. Spin, spin, spin. Hug, hug, hug. Oh, every day I come in, I put pressure on myself to try and teach Albie something every day. You're sitting here? Okay then. Right, high five. And the other one. If you're going through a tough time with your partner for the sake of your child, and you know you feel like you have to break up because you're always at each other's throats because it is tough, then believe me, if you can stay for your child and stick together, it'll only help them and benefit them, and you can work through it. You know, it does. It takes work. It takes effort. And Mr. Beach. Wow! Come on, man. Come on.
Take a minute, please.
No, that's all right, one sec. You're not bothered, really. Just...
Put water in.
No, I'm all right. It happens all the time anyway. I'm used to it now. Knew it was coming anyway. Just stopping it.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching our show today. We just wanted to take some time to give a special shout out to our collaborator, Cat and Raven Design. They are a small queer-owned business that specializes in LGBTQ plus pride soaps. They have great designs, some that even look good to eat, but don't. You can get 10% off your entire order if you use the code DSP or go to our link tree. Help support this great small business and help give back to a great community. And we back again.
We back.
What day is it?
We back. Unlike my pride and dignity this week, it's gone.
And where is it?
It's not here, and it's not coming back.
Never again. Never had it, really.
Now, after the Cheeto dust fiasco of 2023.
Sorry, can you explain what happened with Cheeto dust?
So I was enjoying Monday Night Football.
Uh-huh. As you do, yes.
And as one does. And I was having a snack, as one does. And there's chips and salsa, a little cheese in it, you know, nice and savory. It was tasty.
Uh-huh.
And I finished that, and I think I'm just sitting there, and I must have moved or like I'm fluffed the pillow or something like that. I don't know what happened. And something shot in my eye. My pillow came on me.
I was just gonna give a look to allude to that, but you just went all out for it. Said it. Okay, cool.
And then I'm like, damn. So I rubbed my eye, and then I'm like, oh, something's legit in my eye now. Well, it turns out something did pop in my eye. I would assume it's some type of trip crumble. And I scratched the white meat, the cornea. I told the student, I said, the white meat. She goes, the white meat. And now I have like two flaps in my eye just flapping around under my eyelids. It's a great time, folks. I didn't know you're diabetic.
Scratched your cornea with fucking Cheeto dust. What a fucking piece of shit.
I said, that's how you know you're diabetic, I guess.
If that's not fat boy fantasy right there.
I can't even win a fight with a Cheeto.
Long Cheetos. 1, Nas 0.
0. I ate like 50 of them before I died.
Yep, and they came right back at you.
They
Like,
came at
fuck
me. Mm-hmm. Yep, there was a bunch of little that looked like Donald Trump that came at me.
With that, so for today, like I said, we are watching a few clips from Welcome to Wrexham,
Yep.
right? So the show is all about Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney, and how they bought a small town soccer club, and are trying to, grow it and turn it into, a heavy hitter when it comes to soccer leagues. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know shit about soccer. Like, I know a little bit, like watching it, like a few matches. That's about it. I don't know much about like the leagues, the Champions League, and all that crap. I don't know.
No.
I don't. But they've been doing a pretty good job. They were second the first season. They were in second. They ended up being in second place, and now they're trying to get back up and get promoted in another league. And then with promotion, you get all these different types of incentives and stuff like that. You get more money, and then also you get played more in different matches and stuff. So yeah, that's kind of it. And so today we were talking about autism, because for this whole episode they were mainly talking about autism, which I found it pretty interesting, because I was like, I mean, we both have our suspicions of Ryan Reynolds and Rob.
Yeah.
Because they might be on the spectrum as well, but
yes,
guess we'll see.
They got a little touch of the Cheeto dust.
Does that mean?
They got a little seasoning on them, what we call autism.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not that.
Are they black? What?
No, I said, one of my students goes, "No, my roommate said they think I'm autistic," and I said, I just looked at him, and I said, "Well, hold on. Well, how do they know?" And they said, "Well, their brother's on the spectrum. I act like their brother." And I said, "Okay." And I said, "If their brother's on the spectrum, they lemon pepper seasoning too. That motherfucker, tell them to go fuck themselves." And she goes, "Lemon pepper seasoning?"
This is a white person you were talking to?
Yeah, I just couldn't.
Like, what is that? I've never
Yeah.
tried. Sounds zesty.
Yeah. I said, "Girl, you got something too now. You're different." And I said, "I don't know if you lemon pepper or you carne asada, or you just, since you're a white kid, you just like some salt and pepper."
Just cottage cheese, nothing in there.
Girl, you're not even Greek yogurt. You Yoplait.
Yeah, you old ass yogurt.
Still tism though. Okay.
But yes, and so some mainly the people that are followed in this episode are Paul Mullen and then Albie, who's Paul Mullen's son, and Paul is a player for Wrexham, and Albie is diagnosed with autism.
Mm-hmm.
He's pretty young, like maybe 5. I don't know.
Something like that. Yep.
Yeah, something like that. And then we also see Millie, who is also autistic, but she's a little bit older, probably like 16, 17, maybe something like that. But yeah, and then they're kind of following them, and how Millie is such a huge fan of Wrexham,
Super
and
fan.
she really shows it. She gives Paul like this whole like kind of collage, and then also some gifts that she uses or used on a daily basis to kind of help her through like the day and stuff like that. Very sweet, touching episode.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked it, and it really kind of goes to show how at least the team itself is really trying to make sure that people who are, either have like a disability or anything like that are also being seen as, fans of the club. So yeah, I really appreciate that. And then shout out to, there's actually in the first season they talked about her a little bit more, Carrie Evans. She is the disability liaison
Okay.
for Wrexham, which is actually really cool, because then you have like a good spokesperson, and then she also has a disability as well. So it's actually really cool to see how they're handling that, and not just doing it for soccer, but it's like a community base as well. So really love this episode, and I really love what they're doing at Wrexham. So yeah.
Was there specific reason, Spence, why you texted me the other day and you're like, "Hey, Nas, you're gonna like this. You're gonna like this a lot," because you double texted me.
I
You
did.
maniac.
I
You
did.
double text.
That's right. I was very excited. It's like when you go on like a dating app back in the day, and you got all excited, like, wow, we know each other well. Wow, I'll double text her. Then they never text back. That's how I usually felt. But this time you actually texted back, so you know what? I felt validated,
There you go.
and felt like I was going to get some.
From me? Jesus Christ. This show
I'm
is
tired, folks, so I'm
this
just
show
going to be
is
saying a
so
whole bunch of
good.
crazy shit today.
Yeah.
Today, well, I
No,
texted
but
you
yeah.
because I was like, it was mainly because not only were they talking about autism, but I felt like it was just kind of great seeing two different sides of it, right? Seeing the parents' view of everything, but then also seeing how like a kid who has autism kind of like functions a little bit more, and how what they're doing, and then seeing one that's older and kind of seeing what they're going through, seeing what her parents are going through,
Yep.
seeing how it's tough, but at the same time I don't think they would change anything about their kid.
Yeah.
Wouldn't even change them being autistic. So I just felt like it was a very nice episode, and that we could really kind of delve deep into it, and get your perspective on things, as well as kind of what we think of people who are obviously on the spectrum. Obviously, we think, some of the best people in the world.
Yeah.
But at the same time, getting that perspective is always important. So,
Yep.
and breaking that stigma too. I want to say that, breaking that stigma as well.
Correct. So I think that first scene, which is two scenes put together,
Yes.
with the parents of the young boy. What was his name again? Albie?
Albie.
Yep. So we're watching Albie and his father play and his mother play. And the dad's talking, about, my son got diagnosed real early. He was fine. And then all of a sudden he wasn't fine, and he was acting different and not making eye contact and not responding. And so he said, it's okay. We got him services now. Like, things will be okay, but things are hard.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, he talks about the dad. What was the dad's name again?
Paul.
Paul. So Paul, which is one of the soccer players there, one of the professionals. It just says, like, the sadness or grief that he has, and that, he could have done this to his child, or that this is maybe his fault in some way.
Right.
And so we can attack that. So a lot of the folks here, not attack it in a bad way, but attack like that myth that, this has nothing to do with anything that you did wrong, or, it's got nothing to do with any vaccines. It's got nothing to do with any, The way the mother is attached to the kid during birth, after birth, got nothing to do with that because that's an old myth. Said that folks on the spectrum were like that because it was the mother was neglectful, right? And it was a bad mother. And so the kid came out on the spectrum, they would literally blame the mom in the old days. So
Oh
it's still
wow.
like a myth.
Mm.
They would shame the mom and be like, oh, she was horrible. It's her fault. Like, no. Um, and, he's got some of that shame, because, maybe they could have did something. Maybe they vitamins, who fucking knows, nutrition, whatever. But it doesn't work like that. Can certain things mimic autism, like other, like cognitive disabilities? Brain damage in certain ways, or like lead poisoning. So a lot of the kids, like in Flint, Michigan, all got poisoned from the water, and there's a lot of lead in the water, and so a lot of them have some of the signs and symptoms of being neurodivergent on the spectrum. But it's not complete autism. It's something else, a neurodevelopment issue. Technically, autism to say is a neurocognitive disability, neurodevelopment disability. Different story, different day. Um, that grief that the dad showed in there, that shame or guilt, is legit valid. I see that with a lot of parents. I don't work with the parents. I work with the college students, right? I work with the students, but when the parents come to me, they talk about that stuff and they'll start crying and grieving and they're worried about their child. Will they be happy? Will they live this normal life? And they don't know. It's like a scary time. And he mentions that his kid doesn't like say he doesn't say much words, right? And then every once in a while he will say dad or dada, and then he starts crying in the scene.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a very emotional thing. It's a very loving thing, and it feels good to hear that. And so, some folks on the spectrum can also be seen as unempathetic or not loving or caring, which we'll get into the next scene.
Mm-hmm.
Which again, another myth, and has nothing to do with parenting. It's a neurological, it's a genetic thing. So either he is neurospicy, which he has a neurospicy vibe, Spence. The
Mm-hmm.
dad, Paul. I don't. Some of the ways he acts, but also it could be because he felt was so vulnerable and he was trying to hold back the emotions that he felt very
Right.
guarded. But some of it, I was like,
Right.
the mom didn't want to be seen on camera. So right that I was like, most people would love to be on camera. She didn't want to be on camera, but one of them's a
Mm-hmm.
little neurospicy. They got lemon pepper seasoning. We don't know which one. Lemon pepper.
Pepper whip. Right.
Yep. They both white people, and so they both different versions of tea.
So, what would you say then? How do you kind of approach parents when you're having that conversation with them, saying that it's not their fault, and what steps do you kind of take for people who might have someone who is on the spectrum? You know,
So whenever I talk to parents, right, I have to get a signature, a consent form from the kiddo to
right?
talk to the parents. And parents will complain usually about this or that, or the kids doing the parents are usually super worried, dude. Like super
Mm-hmm.
worried. It sounds like a little obsessive. They can come off kind of blunt and harsh, and I'm like, okay, so you got some stuff.
Right.
Um, I'll be look, mom, because usually the moms, dads will call in too, but it's usually the moms. But hey, man, you're a good mom. And they're like, what are you talking about? I said, this is a good kid. This is a really
Mm-hmm.
good kid here. You did really, really good at raising them. They're functioning pretty well, doing their thing. They got some stuff, but you did good. I'm
Mm-hmm.
really excited about the person that I see in my office.
Mm-hmm.
And then they usually tank because, right, you can just see it. Or you can't see it, I can hear it. And they're like, oh my God, it feels so good to know that. Well, yeah, you did good.
Mm-hmm.
You're a little aggressive with the way how you helicopter, right? Which we need to talk about. You
Right.
need to back down, but you did pretty good, mom. You should be happy about that. The person in front of me is pretty legit in almost every way. So that's number one. I try to boost up the parents, self worth, ego, to boost up, not gaslight them, but just kind of boost them up a little bit. And then I'll coach them on how to talk to the child, and to set real expectations, not their expectations, but the child's expectations. And
Mm-hmm.
as all the pods that we've done on Monday so far, is how do you affirm who they are, the kiddo? Not what you
Mm-hmm.
want them to be, but who they are. And that's how you start making the bond. Is
Mm-hmm.
making that connection instead of forcing them to wear fucking blue jeans and the kid only wants to wear sweatpants. This is what we need to do. I'm not saying that you let the kid call all the shots, but You got to learn to pick your battles.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to lose your kid and they're just going to shut you out. And then they'll never talk to you. And then, you're going to feel like more like shit, and it's horrible.
Right.
When I'm talking to the students, when they're already diagnosed and they come into my office, sometimes it's about how to handle the parent, Spencer.
Mm-hmm.
So how to talk to the parents to maybe not necessarily get their way, but to get through to their parents, to help them set more boundaries. It's a lot of coaching them on how to have these difficult conversations, because they're
Mm-hmm.
difficult for fucking all of us. To have them with a parent, sibling, a romantic partner, a friend, it's tough. So we'll kind of walk through that, role play that, write it all down, and then we'll go into that meeting with their family member with that agenda. Um, at least an outline agenda. Sometimes a whole conversation. If they can't have that conversation, then I have them just give the parent, doctor, whoever it is, the entire letter. Here it is.
Mm-hmm.
Read the letter, then we can talk about it. That way I don't have to say everything. The student, and you got like a foundation of what the hell I'm trying to say.
Right.
So that's some of the stuff I do to help folks, to help family members, to help children.
Mm-hmm.
To let them know that kid's good. I think one of the big things is just because the kid's not verbal when they're super young, Spence, doesn't mean that they won't always be nonverbal.
Right.
Like folks will like grow out of things. Yeah, they might get some speech language pathology, something like therapist, and start working on some
Mm-hmm.
stuff. So there's a lot of turnaround that can happen a lot in the social atmosphere and stuff like that. Um, it just really scares folks. I remember when my pops, he told, or the doctors, the psychologist, school social worker told him that Slim's on the spectrum,
Mm-hmm.
but they didn't like use that word. They used, different words. And Pops
Mm-hmm.
like freaked out. He's like, my kid ain't that. My
Mm-hmm.
kid ain't that. He said he almost threw the chair at the guy, or maybe he did throw the chair at the guy. Yeah. Because he used the R word, right? And
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so right back then that's normal. That's what that word means, to slow or to be slowed. Um, and so Pops was like, oh hell no. But everything was normal with Sling for a long time, and then he just was different. And then the Tourette's kicked in. And then he would take two steps forward, one step back. So there was a lot of like different pathological things that he just wasn't adding up.
Right.
And so same thing like this guy, right? He's a big time professional athlete. The kids get diagnosed. It's like, what the hell is going on? What did they do? It could be a tough time for a parent. And so I don't want to empathize solely with parents right now, but I do. It's a tough time
Mm-hmm.
on the parent.
Yeah.
It also could be a very tough time on the kid. Because he said, it'd be awesome if the kid, he said, I love my son when he's holding him. And he said, but some of the days are hard, especially when he can't like talk or advocate for himself and you can't figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
It's hard for the parent then too, but can you imagine being the child or the adolescent or the teenager that can't articulate what's going on and why they're overstimulated, why they're angry, why they're depressed, why they're anxious, why they're suicidal, um, why the food they don't, the texture they don't like, why the clothing is inappropriate.
Yeah.
Something is wrong, but you can't name it or word it. Very frustrating, very isolating. And then you feel like you're crazy because you're just sitting there having a full blown fucking meltdown, and your parents are like, "Just tell me what's wrong, Rebecca." And you're like, "Catch up." I don't know. Yeah. The other day, a student, I was supposed to come up with something, and all I could think of was ketchup. She said, "What are you thinking about right now?" I said, "Ketchup." She goes, "Ketchup?" It's like, "Yeah, that's all I can think of." And she's like, "Oh, well, that won't work with this exercise." It's like, whatever. I can't think of nothing else now, so just move on.
It's ketchup, all right? Just stop it. Just
Yeah.
stop it. Stop playing your little mind games.
I know. Yeah, she was playing a mind game about something. It was pretty funny. Um, I remember during the conversation, I was like, "That's weird." She's like, "Yeah, it's because I'm autistic, you asshole." I was like, "Okay, calm down."
You know what? But you're right.
Yeah, calm down. Zenefia. I just came up with a name. See, there you go. I like coming up with these names. So it can be difficult on both parties.
Right.
Both feel misunderstood. Both feel underheard or unheard. It's a tough time.
Yeah.
So we're doing this for the parents that are listening.
Yeah.
you're not alone in that. It's a difficult challenge having someone that is more disabilities, cognitive, emotional, vocal. It's tough.
Mm-hmm.
It's really tough. And so I have empathy for those parents, especially if they're probably neurodivergent themselves and struggling with a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And then the heart really goes out to those kiddos that can't articulate, man.
Yeah.
It's tough. So I think this is a really good two scenes of a dad that loves his kid,
Mm-hmm.
a dad that is shocked about his kid, but then, still gets to have a blast with his kid. He also says, I come home and I do my best to teach him something every day, right? And so that's cool for now.
Yeah.
But the dad, that's a lot of pressure on his dad to teach him something every day, right? And so hopefully the
Mm-hmm.
dad, he's a pro athlete, so I'm sure he's obsessive about things. Uh, but hopefully, I'm sure they're gonna all get counseling and stuff like that. They'll be okay. I'm sure they're making good money.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
They're making pretty good money over there. And then also it's just like I mean, he has plenty of resources that you can
yep,
go to, you know, as well as, since like you said, with Salim, it was such like a different time and stuff, but now we're
different time.
trying to understand autism on a better level, since so many people are being diagnosed with it,
Diagnosed finally officially, and now we're
Yeah.
doing more neuro affirming. So,
Right.
folks that are listening, it's called, neuro affirming therapy. Is neurodivergent affirming therapy or just autism affirming therapy? Instead of doing like behavior modification. Hey, some cases maybe behavior mods needed. You know what I'm saying? If like the kid's hitting his head against the wall and shit like that, like, in some cases it might be needed. It shouldn't be the only strategy though.
Right.
You're not replacing this to make the kid quote unquote normal, right? It's just to
Mhm.
modify some behaviors that could be damaging. Folks may not like me because I said that, but behavior modification has its place. As a soul therapy, no. So
Mhm.
no. I don't agree with that at all. I was in behavior mod for some behavior stuff, issues. It was actually quite terrible, but I was quite a shit. So uh, you learn what to do, what not to do. Um, but neuro affirming therapy is the best to do now. Uh,
Mhm.
Firm is to validate, to empathize, to work with, not against the kiddo.
Mhm.
Um, so most of my clients that come to me, it's mostly neuro affirming to have someone like me that understands the way their mind may work. And they'd be like, I'll say a bunch of shit, and they'd be like, "Yep, that." I'm like, "Oh, okay,
Yes.
yep." And what about this and this? Nope, the first one you said, okay.
Mhm.
And they're like, "You already know what I'm thinking before I even think it." I said, "I've been doing this shit for a long time."
I seen it. I seen
Yeah.
it.
What?
And that's one of the reasons why we do this show, right? It's because it's like we want to help affirm what people might be thinking, especially those who are on the spectrum,
Yep.
right? So,
Thinking, feeling, seeing.
mhm.
I think something funny Spencer just brought up to me in the pre-production, as he said he was at work the other day, and he said, "Girl, we need to have a little talking, little talk."
I
what?
had to. I
What
had
happened?
to do it. So I was at work, and I've talked with this person multiple times before, and I've had my inklings of where she was, and so like she's smart as shit, like so smart. She's doing like pre physical therapy, like all like health and all this stuff. Smart as fuck, reads books like all the time for fun. And I'm just like, that was hit number one. uh and then she said something about how she doesn't really read it for like something for the story. She reads it for like other details in the story, right? And so I was just like, has anybody asked you if you're on the spectrum at all? Just asking. And then she was like, no, nobody's ever asked me like that. And I was like, well, I think you got the tip. And I made sure to really tell her that it's not like a bad thing or anything like that. It's more of like, you know, like if you've ever had like any questions about like maybe, you know, why am I doing this or why do I do that and stuff like that. Maybe because it's autism, maybe. And then she was like, does ADHD is like ADHD go with autism? I was like,
That's one of the number one things.
yeah. And and for some, and that's I wanted to be like, you know what, I want to make sure that you feel like you don't really have a stigma on you if somebody ever does say that to you. If anybody does say that to you, it should be a good thing, because I've known so many people who have autism, and they've gone on to do amazing things and be amazing people. And so it's not really a knock to kind of say that for me,
Yep.
even though some people might see that as a knock.
Yep.
But I see it as something, because I was just like, this is why. And I told her, I was like, this is probably why I felt like I like you as a person, because you she talks shit sometimes, but at the same time it's like she's seems like a very positive person and things like that. So I'm just like, this is probably why like you, because you're on the spectrum, you
and then,
autistic.
and then what she said something blunt to you, right? What happened?
Yeah, she said something blunt to me, and then she was like, oh, that's just my attitude. And I was just like, could be something else. And now anytime she has something to say that might be like blunt, she just looks at me and just like, shakes her head like, I'm like, it is, it is.
Lemon pepper seasoning, bitch.
It's just, and it's funny, and I like kind of seeing that. First time I've ever actually like told somebody at work, being like, you might be autistic. But I felt, and then she took it pretty well though, so I felt
Yeah.
like it was something cool.
It's on the delivery and how you talk about it, right? Because I've talked to other friends after I told them I'm on the spectrum, and they'd be
Yeah.
like, "No," and I'd be like, "Yeah," and they'd be like, "No," and I'd be like, "Yeah,"
Yeah,
and they'd be like, "So what about this person, this person, this person?" I'm like, "No, no, no," and they'd be like, "What about me?" And I'm like, "You little spectrum me," and so that means mom or dad is spectrum me, and then they'd be like, "Whoa," and I'm like, "If we being honest, both of them spectrum me as hell." Your mama and your daddy, boy. Uh, and then, what about my sister? I was like, your sister too. That would explain a lot of the digestive issues and like anxiety that they go through and stuff like that. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, it explains a lot, my dog. Um,
Yeah.
so it's just interesting when you get to have some of these conversations and take away that stigma
Yeah.
of this is like a defect, this is a pure disability, this is bad.
Right.
And so this will segue us into the next scene, but I got a story.
Yeah.
I was talking to a person. I was talking to a person, and I was like, man, I don't know how to talk about this with my friends and my parents. This happens all the time. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, you know what? A lot of my clients have done is, they'll leave clues. And they was like, what clues? Blues clues. I'm joking. I didn't say that. I said, sometimes they'll, yeah, I know, they'll leave around some literature. I said it real smart. Some literature.
Literature.
Literature. They're like, what are you talking about? I says, they'll just leave a book like on the desk or the dinner table or like in the family room if they're in their dorm that says like Unmasking Autism, which is a really good book that's out now. Um,
Mm-hmm.
just some type of autism or neurodivergent book that on the cover, right? And then they'll be like, "Hey, Bobby, huh? What, what's that book? What's that book over yonder?"
Beyond.
oh, what the dang do over there?
What that book do?
What that book do? It tell you autistic.
Well, I'm glad you asked.
I'm glad you asked. And I'm not gonna lie though, it's actually worked quite well.
Mm-hmm.
I've had some students that have had books with them and they've forgotten them at home, and then the parents will find them. Parents call, "God damn it, what is this book? What are you doing? What are you reading?" So I've had it go bad. Most of the time it goes well. Um, I think we might have some humans that are going to do that relatively soon with some friends and leave some stuff around, because
Yeah.
having that conversation is weird. Like, what are you just gonna walk in while they're eating cereal? I'm autistic.
They're like, well, cool. I don't know what to do with it, but cool.
They die on their Cheerios.
Spit them out. Just what?
Yeah, that's why I never liked you people.
Oh my God. What do you mean, you people?
People.
Autistic. Oh yeah. All right. Yeah. Yep.
Autistic people? No, it's because you black. Uh, sorry.
Almost spit on my computer.
Yep. So that's actually kind of a cool way to segue into that, where they kind of might bring it up to you because they might see something or ask a question, or then
Right.
it thus makes some type of segue so you can bring it up because you know that they have seen that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a tough topic because most of our humans are worried that people will look at them in a different way.
Yeah, and I think she was kind of worried about that too. She was like,
Mhm.
"Don't tell anybody." And I was just like, "Who the fuck am I?"
Yeah, I'm not going to tell no one. He's like, I brought it to you. I'm not going to go around and
This
tell.
bitch autistic.
Jesus, right.
Out of here.
Yeah.
Autistic is shit.
She autistic. She gay too.
One of those was the truth. One of those was a lie.
Yeah,
Figure out which one.
Yeah, 2 truths, 1 lie. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, don't do that. But yeah, no, people will think that they think different of you. I know I'm like that at work as well, man. Like some people, I'm like, man, they gonna look at me funny or say this or that. But I tell most folks, especially like the new folks, I'm cool with them. Like this one kid was not kid, grown ass woman, nurse.
Mm-hmm.
I said he was making too many jokes and like fucking with me, and I said, hey man, you're overstimulated, you're freaking me out. And if you making too many jokes, it's freaking me out because them jokes were like shit I can get in trouble for. I'm like, you need to
Right.
stop. Because I go in there and I said something, she's like, oh, you don't think I can do my job, do you, Nas? Oh, it's because I'm this and that, because I'm a woman. I'm like, hold up now, I can get in trouble if you say that shit too loud now.
Right.
And they're like, I'm sorry, and I said, hey man, it's cool. Shit like that's a little too much. I said, you can just be normal with me. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm used to the other nurses talking all this shit. I said, I can talk a lot of shit, but it's time and place, homie. Time and place.
Right.
It's crazy, right? I got overstimulated by someone.
But all the shit that we say to each other, you're just like, hold up now. But that's a good point though, because
Yep.
it's like it's a whole different setting, right?
It is.
It's work. It's supposed to be like not totally serious, obviously, but it's supposed to be a professional place.
Yep.
And and also, if someone actually took them literal, then yeah, you would be in tough shit.
I was like, hold up now. And so I told that person knowing that they would be cool with me, right? They wouldn't see it as bad. Obviously, I'm like a very successful professional. But
Right.
my other students are worried. They're going to tell their friends, and their friends may look at them as disabled. Be like,
Mhm.
oh, is that your autism acting up? Right? And they're like, no, this is
Mhm.
just a normal ass thing, Rebecca. Like, I don't like this
Right.
loud ass noise because you being loud as fuck at 2 a.m. Like,
Mhm.
shut the fuck up.
Actually, what's funny because she was like, I was over. It's like she was like something happened, and she was like, I was overstimulated, and then she looked at me. She was like,
You've been reading them books, ain't you?
I looked at Beck. I was like, it
You know,
is.
that's the autism book you left on the work desk.
What is this book? Throw it away.
What this book? ABCs of Autism. But yeah, it's the thing, man. So it's really scary to tell people because of the stigmas that are out there. I also talk to people about, maybe your own internalized hate for the issues too, and so how to work past that.
Right.
I think a lot of people think that autism is what we're going to see in these scenes. Spencer is nonverbal, uncommunicative, horrible eye contact, maybe some verbal or speech pattern issues.
Right.
Right. And so that's not everyone, right? That's not everyone. As we talked about me and you making fun of Ryan Reynolds, ADHD there, right? There's some
You see
obsessiveness.
OCD too?
Yep.
Like he just
So
doesn't like to be touched too.
there's some OCD there. There's also his ability to transfer into different people voices, to mimic, to mime, to be funny, right? He's really good at being on and wearing that mask.
Right.
Could be highly intelligent, could be a little spectrumy. We know that the other homeboy though, because he came
Rob.
out diagnosed with some learning disabilities and some other shit. Me and you both think he's on the spectrum.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so. Yeah, and I mean, the dude is just a genius when it comes to comedy. Like,
Yep.
so,
And you find a
so
lot of comedians on the spectrum.
yeah.
A lot of famous comedians, neurodivergent.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get into the second scene, Spence,
Mm-hmm.
because there's some people that might not like some of the things and might like some of the things.
Mm-hmm.
These episodes ain't for everyone, right? I'm trying to get you. I'm trying to affirm the parents and the clients, students,
Mm-hmm.
kids. This next scene, as we transition into it, right? It's about her making those gifts
Mm-hmm.
and drawing and creating and showing this love and this is what I think some people don't like is that they'll say like autism's a superpower. Some people like it's not a superpower.
Right.
You know, it's a disability, or they'll be like you shouldn't think of it as a superpower because it's like, you know, not all of us have superpowers. And I'm like, you know, let the person think whatever they want.
Yeah. Especially like, what is that going to do? Them saying that it's like you don't have to be that kind of person to just down somebody because
Yeah.
they say something that might not be, what you think is correct, right?
I think,
So
yeah, some people will think that, well, no, they think that autism's like superpowers for like all types of things. And obviously everyone doesn't have superpowers, but if
yeah,
one person wants to feel like they have superpowers or are empowered in it, then let them do it.
yeah.
Um,
Would you rather them be depressed about what they have and
yeah,
just feel like shit every day? Like, no, let
I
them
think
feel that.
some are like get insecure, or some be like, well, not all folks on the spectrum are like super geniuses. I think we're not getting at that. We're
Hmm.
not getting at the literal superpowers. We're getting more at the metaphorical superpowers or hyper interest in certain areas
Hmm.
or abilities to show love in other ways or empathy in other ways. But everyone wants to get like real weird about certain things. And I get it. You don't want to generalize and label as everyone is like these machines. But when she said it, I can hear people in my mind be like, "Oh, that's wrong," and I'm like, "Now let her vibe out. She's really good at drawing, loves that team, knows everything in and out. I'm
Hmm.
saying living her best life. She feels like she has superpowers, and she thinks that autism is good and wonderful in many different ways, and it is. And so I thought it was really wonderful to see that, even though I know some others may not enjoy that clip. Um,
Right. Totally.
but the best part
Hmm.
is the mom goes, she goes, Spence, you know, she doesn't even hold my hand. You know, she's really not that affectionate, this and that, even to this day, and it hurts me. So that's
Hmm.
gotta suck for a parent, right? Your kid's not affectionate. I get that. I'm gonna validate that and empathize with that. That's tough.
Yeah.
But also, her name was what was her name again, Spence? Miley?
Millie.
Millie. She loves tremendously in many different ways. When she starts drawing that art and how good it is, doesn't matter how good it is. When she starts drawing that art and collecting the stuffed animals and the toys and the blanket. You know what I'm saying? And puts it all in the bag for this dude that she don't even know with all this money. And he's like, why'd you do this? Why'd you give this to me? Well, I don't need these things anymore. And I figured your kid could need them. Your kid needs them. How is that
Hmm.
not love and empathy? But autistic people don't have love and empathy, and they're stoic and reserved, and they don't want to touch. Man, that's one pocket, man. That's one little pocket.
Yeah.
Hopefully the mom knows that her daughter loves a fuck ton.
Hmm.
So that's the scene I cried on. Because it got
Hmm.
me again when we watched it, and specifically because I have blankets in my office that students love. I have stuffed animals in my office that students love because they're very soft.
Hmm.
That little toy that she had with the little balls, the white thing and the little balls, I have that in my office. It was gifted to me by a therapist at one of my
Hmm.
interns. One of my boys in group therapy broke it because he kept shoving these other elastic band things in it and he broke it, bastard.
Jesus.
So I had to buy a new one. So it's the new one's sitting in there and it's like a little puzzle thing.
Hmm.
So it made me think of them. It made me think of my old school. And then she adds in a bunch more stuff and like poppets and all that. And it just reminds me of all the gifts that I've been given from folks that are neurodivergent.
Hmm.
And we might have talked about on a different pod is I've only gotten gifts from people that are autistic.
Hmm.
I think I might, yeah, we talked to you about it because even like you, that you love giving gifts. I didn't even like giving gifts until I went to St. Mary's.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, this is fucking awesome. Every single person that has given me a gift, drawn, curated, brought in food,
Mm-hmm.
it's been autistic. Shit, I remember last year someone brought in a fucking cake, a tres leches cake from Chicago. We tore that shit up, boy. We tore it up. It was a badass cake. That cost some money. And then
Not bad.
they emailed me the next day and said, by the way, I got COVID. I said, you rotten motherfucker, I knew it. Bitch ain't no
The cake
good.
was good though.
That cake
The
was
cake
good.
was
I died
good,
eating
but
that
you were
motherfucker.
rotten.
I hope you rotten hell, motherfucker. But still, like, someone said the other day, he's like, why do you get all these gifts? Yeah, and I said, my clients love me, bro. Not all, but certain ones. Certain ones. We all have our favorites. So it's just interesting for a population that folks say is so unloving.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we need to think about love and connection and intimacy in a different way for different folks. And I think this is going to lead me and Spencer into our next Monday pod: is what is love?
Mm-hmm.
How do you know that you love someone? How do you show that you love someone? How do you receive love? And we're not just talking about the love languages. We're like, what do you actually do? For many of the folks that I work with, it's showing you, because the words might not be enough. I told the one kid that gave me a card for my birthday, I said, I'm not going to read this right now. They said, why not? I said, this shit going to make me cry. I don't feel like reading it in front of you. I don't cried enough with you before. So,
Hey, this is your co-host Spencer, and I'm bringing you a special message from our collaborator, Silver Dollar Candles. They have great scents to go with great messages, just like Best Dad Ever, True Crime and Chill, and my personal favorite, When This Candle Is Lit, Give Me That. You can also make your own candle and message that fits you. So go use our link in our link tree to get your order placed with Silver Dollar Candles today. Hey, are you a nerd? Do you like pins? If you're like any of our followers and you said yes, you should check out our collaboration with Pinfinity. They have Power Rangers pins, Transformers pins, and for all of our bronies out there, My Little Pony pins. Go check out our link tree or use our code DSP to get 20% off your Pinfinity order today.
you don't think I'm soft?
I'm hoard. First hill.
Real whore. Like the stale ass bread you bought me.
Oh, I forgot.
Yeah.
She almost broke my teeth.
Beat her with the baguette.
Oh my God. Shout out to Atlanta.
Shout out to Atlanta, the TV show. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that was something really cool to point out, is the work and love and curation that she put into that.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where we challenge folks, Spence, and we ask questions. How do you, as someone that's neurodivergent, show love?
Mm-hmm.
Do you even know what you do? Is it through
To
acts?
show love.
How do you show it? Maybe you don't like doing the physical touch. You see, when he went to hug her, she was like, I guess
she
I
was
can
kind of
hug
like,
you.
no.
His lady left the other day, right? I ain't been sad. I don't care when no one leaves the job, but finally someone quit a job, and they took another job at the school, a front desk lady.
Mm-hmm.
And I waited. I was going to give her a big old hug because I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
I also bought her a gift. I gave her this a Stitch plus big old stuffed animal. I bought it for her a long time ago though, because she went through something. And I bought it for her.
Mm-hmm.
Then everyone came over, and then I was like, all right. So we giving hugs, or what we doing? So I gave her a hug, and no one else gave her hugs. I said, fuck it, I'll give you another one. I gave her two of them. And then I cried in the car. I talked to this crazy ass lady every day for probably 30 minutes a day for the last 2.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
For everyone else, I barely see in office, right? But for her, we talked a lot of shit.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of shit. In this episode, they talk about autism and connection.
Yeah.
And like when her daughter went through COVID and it took soccer away from her and she lost a lot. It's love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She had grief because of love of soccer. Right. I went through the grief with this person leaving because of like love, kindness, jokes, humor. She's also autistic as shit. She
Of
doesn't know
course.
that. I know she listens to this pod, so if she hears it, she's like, "What the fuck?"
You got the tism, girl.
Oh
Hey,
yeah,
congrats.
100%. She told me she was like a bodybuilder back in the day and like a few other things, and she's just weird and ADHD as shit. I'm like, yeah, you're spectrum, man.
You can just sense it, right? We'll
Yeah,
talk. Maybe we'll talk about that in a little bit, but like
yeah,
just getting the sense of like I'm sensing the tism here. I don't
yeah.
know. It's
She'd be
somewhere
like,
here.
whenever a kid's like in a panic, in a crisis, and I'm on call, if they're like neurospicy, she'd be like, "Nah, I've got this one."
First grabs right there.
Yeah, not. You send it now. We gonna send it now. And so that's why I want to challenge people is if folks say that you're unemotional or detached, lack facial expression, lack communication or verbiage, make sure they
Yeah.
know the things that you're really good at and appreciate those things.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you could step it up in the other ways, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about more about strengths. And so making sure that they understand that these are the ways that you operate and to not discredit those when you show them or do them. Because a lot of my students that are more stoic, like Millie, they'll get seen as, discontent, uninterested, angry, mad, especially if they're black or brown. Then they're seen as more aggressive and more standoffish, resting bitch face. That's just not the case. Many of my clients will be like, "Man, they already think I'm mad and shit," and then what? I'm gonna have a conversation with them. They gonna think I'm gonna try and kill them. Like, no, they're not. Or man, my friends always think that I'm not paying attention, that I'm dissociated, like daydreaming. I said, "Are you?" She's that's not the point, Nas.
It is the point. That's why you brought it up.
Yeah. Bitch, you over here dreaming about ketchup, right? I'll go dig nothing. Yeah. And so we talk about how to ground ourselves in conversation, how to listen, right? And how to show people that you're actively listening and engaged. Because people see that as love, they see that as kindness when you're actively listening.
Right.
I was recently helping people with that, right? I'm talking to the partner. They're like, "Man, I just got yelled at." And I'm like, "Okay. Did you actually get yelled at?" "No, just a talking." I'm like, "Okay. So you didn't get yelled at," because that makes it seem like you just got abused.
Yeah.
Um, I bring these things up because love is a big deal, especially when you're dating with friends. So making sure that everyone is on the same page can probably save your friendship or your romantic partner.
Mm-hmm.
Also, so some of you children, or if you're a parent like Colin, right? One of the longtime co-hosts.
Yeah. It's been a minute since he's
Been a
been
minute.
on.
He done had a big ass baby since then.
Jesus Christ.
She big as hell.
All the supplements that he takes. I mean, it's had to come out somewhere.
Yeah, I know. Her baby takes after her uncle. That's me.
Oh my God.
But not in a nasty way. She just looked like our people. Fat.
Why does she have so much hair on her
Yeah.
chest?
How you got hairy knuckles, man?
You're not even 2 yet. What the fuck?
Why you look like a yeah, so like him, worried about some things in love. But long as the child knows that you're giving them attention and you're affirming them, validating them, right? They're gonna know you love them because you're there.
Right.
So many of us folks on the spectrum, we just want to be there.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even need to say shit. We're just gonna be sitting in the room, chilling and vibing. Just because you're there, we're comfortable.
Yeah.
And if an autistic person happens to start gabbing and running their mouth a million miles an hour, they think that you're a safe person,
Mm-hmm.
and thus they trust you, maybe have some respect or love for you, and they think that they can talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're not going to talk to anyone else like that. But certain folks, they're going to run their mouth. I don't talk to no one at work, Spence.
Mm-hmm.
No one. I talk to the
Same.
front desk lady that's gone, and then now Spence like, "Motherfucker, you don't shut up." That's because I don't talk to no one. I talk to 3 motherfuckers.
Most of my talking comes through here. So it's like, or when I'm with Dom. That's about it.
That's it.
That's about it.
We
Yeah.
got certain people we talk to, man, and that's it. And so remember, folks, that is love.
Yeah.
Now, if you're talking to someone that's just running their mouth nonstop and they're like they won't shut the fuck up, and then you can
That
ask
might
them,
be.
you can set some boundaries with them. But I saw this in an Instagram post from some of the homies that's going to end up joining us.
Mm-hmm.
But if you set the boundary with them and say, "Hey, it's a little bit too much, a little overstimulating, right? Take a breath." They're gonna take that as okay. I'm gonna take a pause, but then you need to reinitiate when you want them to speak again because they're just gonna dissociate and kind of go away because they don't want to offend you or cross a boundary. So remember that in the back of your mind too. If you set a boundary, awesome. Make sure you re-invite them back to play verbally. Um, but that's the biggest thing is every time I've gotten something, it's been someone on the spectrum. And what does that mean? That means our people love more and deeper than I think anyone else knows. Uh, but the myth is that we don't. So it's interesting. It's an interesting myth. That's what I wanted to bring up. I thought these were very good scenes, literal scenes of folks being on the spectrum, and the trials and tribulations that maybe some parents go through.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool to come through a random soccer television show.
I know, right? Just randomly showed up just out of nowhere, just being like, we're going to talk about autism today. Obviously, it was enough because one of their players deals with it, and then one of their fans deal with it.
Super
Obviously, they
fans.
probably have more people
Yeah.
who deal with it, but they really wanted to focus on those two for this episode. So
Pretty cool.
I also liked how Ryan Reynolds was just like watching Paul's son just doing something. He's just
Count.
like, oh my gosh, what? But
Yeah.
yeah, very affirming, and especially it's pretty cool as like your boss just kind of, you know, looking at those videos and just being like, wow, that's cool, that's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Yep. Pretty cool. This
yeah.
things like this should help folks understand autism or maybe at least get an introduction to it.
Mm-hmm.
It also should show, the parents' trials and tribulations. But remember, this is two different versions of autism, and there's like
Mm-hmm.
umpteen billion versions. And so these are not the general lies characteristics of what autism is. These are just a couple
Mm-hmm.
different things that a child and someone that's a teenager go through, their experiences, their affect, their personality. Um, I ain't gonna lie though, when that little boy smiles, that was pretty awesome. And when that did to see the love between him and his son, that was pretty awesome. To see the love between Millie and the players and the passion and her screaming in that crowd, pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think
Uh,
she has her own section that she like just
yeah, I saw that the quiet section, even though everyone was like
yeah
screaming their face off, I was like, what is this
yeah.
quiet section?
This is a lie. It's a
Yeah,
damn lie.
yeah, they're just not chugging beer. Like, what are they doing?
As
Yeah.
one does when they're at a football match.
Oh, I heard they're like blasted over there.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah,
England, what are you gonna do?
yeah. Yeah, it's a good episode. I'm glad you texted me, double texted me, needy ass.
All right, calm down. Calm down,
Yeah, I
my
know.
friend. Calm down.
Yeah,
Mr. Send me like 8 texts in a row.
I know. I sent you like 3 paragraphs today.
I know. Like I can't read this.
Yeah. I'll see you at 8. Yeah, fucker. All right, yeah. It's good stuff. We will next on the next Monday pod, we will talk about most likely I have it picked out called Love. It's Love at First Sight. We're gonna talk about tough feelings. We're gonna talk about some issues that get in the way of love, intimacy, self-sabotage, specifically men, and not being emotional. But also like, women. So it's gonna be interesting talking about this the love. Some of that
Mhm.
some of that good love.
On that creepy note, thank you everybody for joining us today. Uh, go check out Welcome to Wrexham on Hulu.
Yeah.
Hulu original. Go check it out. It's great. It's already on season 2. And also go check out our lovely collaborators, most of them. And check out our merch. We have some great stuff in there. Hey, you're different, but not less.
But not lemon. You're
No.
different. You got some lemon pepper seasoning, but not you're not plain chicken. I lost it. I had it.
You never had it, did you?
No, you're not cracked chicken, but you're seasoned chicken.
And this is why it's a Monday podcast.
Yep.
Like you're just like, you're not crack. Like what?
Crack chicken.
You're not crack. Thank you everybody for watching today, and hopefully this episode kind of helps either break stigma of autism just a little bit, just enough for you to kind of maybe research it a little bit more, and show a little bit more compassion to those who are around you that might have autism. Because so I feel like a lot of people kind of have that, like, wow, this person's just so like passionate about this subject, even though it's not that important, right?
Yeah.
And you're just like, maybe because they're autistic, maybe you should chill the fuck out a little bit. Maybe just kind of see how they view it and then kind of go from there. Doesn't mean you have to have that same viewpoint. Just view it and go, okay, well, they view
Cool.
that way, I don't. So
Yep.
there you go. But yeah, thanks for joining, everyone. Also, before we get out of here, there's gonna be a video right here. And you know what? It's a great video. It's from our past episodes. Why don't you check it out? Why don't you see what's happening there? Go check it out.
Recommended video. It's made just for you.
Just for you. And then watch, it's going to be some subject that's like totally depressing.
Yeah.
Just like, how'd they know? How'd they know?
How'd they know?
So please go check out this recommended video right here.
Yep.
It'll be great.
All right.
So check that out. And with that, I'm Spencer. That's Nas. Different Spectrums Podcast.
All right, people. Much love. And remember, take care of yourself.
Or don't.
And that's up to you. Peace.